Nice to meet you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Shenandoah joint meeting of City Council and MDD. It's 6 o'clock. You want to call it your? Yes.
All right, take the roll for MDD. Everybody's here. Welcome, Barry.
Thank you.
Everyone's here. Mayor?
All right, we're going to...
Pardon me, can you officially call the MDD meeting to order?
I thought that's what I did.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Wouldn't be any point to mentioning everybody's here, so.
Okay.
And all of our city council is present, so we do have a quorum. We're going to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a short invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please bow your heads. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with clarity and charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. We ask you to protect our first responders and all our armed service members as they are protecting us as well. We ask this in your son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we're going to turn it over to MDD. Will you carry on your agenda, please?
Sure. First item is item 4, presentation of the monthly cash flow. There's Lisa.
Sorry, I didn't know where the microphone was.
That was me too, and mine's always in the same place.
Yeah. So, as a mayor, council, director, the city agenda packet today is the monthly cash flow for the month of May. Cash started off at 2.4. We brought in about $262,000 worth of revenues, primarily from sales tax, but interest is still holding pretty well for interest rates. Expenses for operating and MDD capital total about 1.1 million. Transfers needed to the general fund fees is about 23,000. So that brings down your ending cash to 1.5. When you take out the required reserve balance and any other projects over carrying over, your available cash is 405,000.
Any questions? All right. Item 5, presentation of the capital project report. I get to cue myself. Okay, last month, MDD approved the budget calendar. And as I looked over the projects coming up, are we still on track, Joseph, for these ones that we're supposed to kick off in the summer of '24, the Wellman Drainage, Vision Park, and the park cameras? Are those?
Yeah, so the park cameras are getting close. We've run into some trouble with the contractor, but I think Chris was supposed to hear back today with some updated information. That one's still on track. The entrances, landscaping is actually going to be starting tomorrow. They're going to be starting at the Pinecroft entrance first, and then Wellman, and then to the Research Forest to get those beautifications completed. And then the Wellman, I received the full easement documentation today and sent that over to the owner's rep. So waiting to hear back from the owner's rep on that. And Vision Park Roundabout, we did a final a review of that. Staff did final review, and our comments are being integrated into the final plan set. So they are all on track.
Okay, the long-term projects, the feeder monuments, I know that we had done the design. Have we heard anything from TxDOT lately?
I was playing phone tag with them last week and have been trying again this week, so I don't have any updated information.
Okay, and if you've walked by, most of you have been able to see that the Veterans Point is under construction now, so that's great. Wastewater treatment plant continues. New digester construction is underway and walls are 50% complete. And for the ARPA projects, major milestones have been hit on the design. So those were all completed by 5/11. So those are the major updates for the capital improvement report.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Joseph, on that Vision Park roundabout, a year or so ago, we were talking about that and talking about replacing the big rocks that are there with something more permanent. Is that included in that?
Yes, that's the scope of the project, is to remove the bull rock and replace that with stamped concrete.
Okay.
So it'll be on at a different elevation, so it won't be, people won't mistake it as a travel lane because it's
Okay.
going to be stamped. You'll have to go over a rollover curb, but it'll allow for the back axle of those 18-wheelers that are doing all the damage to make that turn on concrete.
Now, a lot of that, the current stuff there was a result of the big dump trucks and everything when they were doing the pond and all of that. Are we through that enough? Will the work they're doing on the Veterans Memorial, will we have a bunch of large trucks going through there that could mess up the new stuff we do?
There shouldn't be. Right now they're digging foundation, getting that ready. But the route we have them taking, they won't need to take that roundabout to get to the work site.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Item 6, discussion and possible action to adopt the following resolution. A resolution of the Municipal Development District of the City of Shenandoah designating authorized check signers for the City of Shenandoah.
Directors, this agenda is just a routine one to add our newest MDD director, Barry Millinson, to as an authorized check signer for both our depository and our investment bank accounts with the MDD.
Move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? None, okay. Motion passes. Item 7, discussion and possible action to adopt the following resolution. Resolution of Shenandoah Municipal Development District electing a president, vice president, and secretary.
Directors, this is a routine process that we do for the MDD officers, and of course, since Byron Beavers has left MDD, we need to replace the officers. As you'll see in your agenda report, Director Raymaker is the vice president and currently the presiding officer. Byron was president, and Joanna Gonzalez is secretary. So those are the 3 officer positions that we need to reappoint.
I'll make a motion to elect Ron Raymaker president, Jim Wallace vice president, Joanna Gonzalez secretary.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Well, hold on a minute.
Okay, you want to talk? Okay.
Do you want to ask if they would like to serve?
Of course.
Courteous.
No, you have to serve. You've been nominated. That's it. Well, since Ted asked the question, are you all willing to serve?
Well, so far I've gotten off pretty scot-free with that position. Yes.
Jim, you're good?
I'm good.
All right, now we can vote on it then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? It's 5-0, all right. Not bad. Item 8, discussion and possible action regarding change order, funding, and updated cash flow for David Memorial.
Yes, so if you recall, this was discussed at the last MDD meeting and was tabled. An update since then is City Council, they funded the change order at their May 22nd meeting just so that we could get the contractor paid on time because the work was completed. So this is coming back to the MDD board to approve reimbursement for change order number 1. Have some updates, some good updates on that, and maybe John or Derek would want to give one of the updates regarding their proposal and some of the savings that we saw. Derek volunteering.
Derek?
Since the project's complete, usually when we estimate for the construction side of projects, we're going to estimate based on what we think a typical contractor would complete their work in, as well as the amount of effort. Bryce Civil was a great contractor. They finished early. They did a good job. And they made it possible for us to, be able to monitor the work with a little bit less effort. So I sent Joseph an amendment after we finally kind of got through the final inspection and everything. Looks like per our original contract, we're able to reduce the fee by about
$107,000,
so
almost 108.
So good news there, that and kudos to Bryce for helping us out and having a good project.
Okay, so we're still doing the reimbursement for the 313, or am I doing a different amount?
So with the Blile deduct, and also there's going to be one more payment to them for $14,000. So the actual budget overage that we have for this project was only $227,000. And also Joseph got good news from the county that they will be reimbursing us for $100,000 of that as well. So technically MDD is only paying $127,000.
127?
Yes.
Yeah, so Commissioner Matt Gray really came through and helped us on this.
Awesome.
As soon as we got the change order, we reached out to them and they quickly turned this around and helped us out. So I definitely want to make note of that. Our commissioners are there to help us.
Okay, do you have a motion?
So do we need to approve for 227 and wait for the 100,000 to come in?
Yeah, it'll just be applied to that fund, so we can, it'll go to MDD's bank
It'll
account.
get back to us.
So we need to do the...
So we need to do it for 227.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
I move that we reimburse the city $227,000 for this project.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Fletcher and second by Mr. Wallace. Any discussion? Nope. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Against? None.
Did they give you a timeline for that reimbursement?
We sent the invoice on Monday, so it should be coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the funds available,
Okay,
just waiting for them to process the invoice.
okay.
And they're all schooled their checks.
Item 9, discussion and possible action to ratify the accounts payable for May 2024.
Before you jump into that, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What about the other item that was deferred at the last MDD meeting, which was the approval for Blile Engineering to conduct analysis of the regional drain north of Tamina Road? We deferred our part on that, but council then went and approved it. Do we have to now refund?
If they ask us.
So we're waiting on council to ask us.
It would come back as an agenda item
Yeah.
to vote on,
Okay, all right.
Okay.
but you can make that in your inquiry as a,
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm not the sir.
No, you,
But that would be appropriate.
well, we can find out that that'll be agenda item at the next meeting, and if
Okay.
council wants that
Thank you.
reimbursement. Okay. All right, now, we were looking for the vote on it, right? No, I had moved on to the ratification of the accounts payable.
I move we approve the accounts payable.
Second?
All right, All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I say aye as well. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to talk about on the accounts payable? Nothing? Okay. All right. Director inquiry?
I'm good.
Item 10.
Oh,
You're right, it's item 10.
the big one.
Discussion of the projects.
Discussion regarding the 2024-2025 capital project plan.
All right. I'm glad I have water. Probably doing a lot of talking here. If you'll see on the screen and also in your agenda packs, there is a list here. Put this together. This is very similar to what we did last year. It seemed to be a good, clean way to organize the information. And I'll just do a quick orientation on the way this is laid out. The first projects we'll be discussing, you'll see the title on the left, are water and wastewater projects. After that, you'll see the general fund and MDD eligible projects. Also included on the right-hand column, whether or not it's MDD eligible, and that's based on whether it's in a commercial area, commercial district, or if it's related to a park. And that's how that designation was made. So we'll go ahead and start at the very first project here, which is the utility rates, impact fee, and drought contingency update. So the cost estimate is $10,000 and the funding request is for the same amount. So this is a 5-year requirement by TCEQ and the PUC to keep your utility rate updated and how that affects your impact fees. The drought contingency is recommended every 5 years, and so staff wanted to get this all together because they're all interrelated and just get all of these studies done. So that $10,000 proposal is from Blyle Engineering to do all of those studies for us, the updates for those. I guess I can, now that I'm looking at this, I should probably just,
But that's coming.
should I just skip to the MDD projects?
Yeah, because this is, well,
I
unless you're
mean,
going to talk about it twice.
yeah,
You
we're
can
gonna
talk
do this in
about all of
August.
them.
So I can just skip down to the MDD eligible projects. I just got excited. I wanted to do them all. All right, so skipping down to the first MDD eligible project, the North Tamina CISD Regional Drainage Study. So this was funded in the May meeting by City Council, and the discussion there was to request that reimbursement through the next fiscal budget, which is why it's included. And that probably answers your question, Jim, that you brought up. So City Council wanted to just put this in MDD's, have it in MDD's budget for discussion for reimbursement with the fiscal budget. So that dollar value is the same as what was presented at the last meeting, the $92,600. I guess, Bill, are we looking for any sort of discussion on whether MDD has an interest in funding these now? I mean, that's...
You can go through, I think you ought to go through them all, and then let's just open general discussion.
Very good. The next project is court resurfacing. So $25,000 is the estimate here. I will say we're still working with the vendors on getting multiple bids. We got our first bid and it was $70,000. If that's where everybody's at, staff's going to recommend delaying this. Those courts can last a bit longer for that amount. But I'm hoping to have 2 more bids on this to get a better number, something a little more palatable. Just wanted to give you an update on that. The next MDG eligible project is the additional parking at the main park. I do have updated information that I just got at the end of business day today. So there was a mistake on the cost estimate. I've got one here. And it was related to the curbing. So rather than that total estimated construction cost being $320,000, $200,000. It's closer to 275. Is that right, Kathy? I think you've got it written down. I don't have that handy.
But you said like 272 and that's a working estimate still.
Okay. So because of the correction on the curbing, and I'll update this, that number is going to be $272,000. This was a recently added project, so we've tried to do a lot of work to get it ready for this meeting. So the project would provide an additional 12 parking spaces. There's 28 or 29 there now, so it's not a very large increase. You can also see a schematic design there in front of you, and the idea is to remove the perpendicular parking and add parallel parking on both sides. It takes a lot more space because you need a larger alley between those parking spaces, so unfortunately we just don't gain as much as we had hoped. But that cost, as Kathy said, that cost estimate is still in the works. But we just wanted to get as much information as we had to you now.
So right now you said it's going to be 272, or is it going to be the 375?
272 is, here, let me find the email.
Yeah, I had those notes, but.
I've got it here, my phone's just not being, it's 272,100 is the most recent cost estimate. That's design and construction.
Okay, and that would be what we'd be bringing into the next budget for MDD then?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Out of curiosity, has study been done to say, like, how often are we overflowing in that parking lot? Like, how often are those spots needed? I'm just curious.
So no official study has been done. It's just been a lot of personal experiences of staff, residents, and council. Weekends see a lot of heavy use, and there's just been a lot of concerns raised from the residents that live right by the park. Because the park overflows and they park in the street.
Yeah, Fridays and weekends, we see a lot of cars. You know, it seems like everybody who does homeschooling, they all go out for an outing on Fridays. And you see the cars parked out there, and the people who live there at Cedarwood and is it Driftwood, they can't park on the street, on their own street. That was the reason we brought it up, because it's always overflowing. And I've seen it before where we had the cars just parked in the fire lane, parallel parked anyway, and it still was overflowing out into the street. So I'd prefer to go with the more space option myself, yeah.
Could I ask a question? Didn't Councilman Robinson request a study on the parks would that help answer some of this question?
So I'll go ahead.
See that.
Yeah, I'll take that and segue. That's the next project.
Okay.
A Parks and Pathway Master Plan study for $50,000. It'll likely come in under that, but it should not exceed $50,000. Staff wanted to get something on there quickly. There was a sense of urgency from City Council about the parking, so we wanted to have that separate. But absolutely, this could be included as part of the study. And then the final project here was recommended by Councilman Raymaker, and this is a southbound U-turn Q lane extension. So I'll try to visually take you there. So if you're southbound on the service road and you're passing Shenandoah Drive, you've got 3 through lanes, and then it opens up to the left. You've got a left turn lane and then the U-turn lane. Mm-hmm. The problem is in the afternoons, typically you have a lot of traffic backing up there, and it's exacerbated by the people that are trying to turn left and make U-turns because they cannot get to those Q lanes. Mm-hmm. So the idea of this project is to extend those Q lanes to the north so that people can get access to them sooner than later and not have to back traffic up so much. As we discuss these, we need to narrow the scope on this. I took a look at it and did a quick estimate of square footage of concrete that would need to be added, which is 20,000 square feet. What that means in real terms is it would extend the access to those Q lanes just north of Shenandoah Drive. So that was based on a $15 per square foot is where I got the $300,000. Related to that, we'd also need to work with TxDOT, which would require an advanced funding agreement, and also TxDOT would perform any work and we would pay for it. They use their own contractors.
Would there be much delay because of the TxDOT having to approve things, or?
Yes. Absolutely.
It's a 3-year out project.
But at least I don't have to deal with any wetlands, right?
Right, so what staff's recommendation is if there's an interest on MDD to fund this, let's just fund, and I took an estimate for the cost of design. We could just fund some design, get some preliminary work done, start those conversations with TxDOT rather than funding the whole project, because it won't be in construction next fiscal year.
What's the swag on the design?
So I just took, well, the swag I had on the total cost was $300,000, and I think I used 12% for design cost. I think I bumped up 15. I was generous. 15% of construction cost.
Which is 40.
So $45,000.
So it's still 45, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So were you saying going into the sidewalk there, widening into where the
It's
sidewalk
not a
is?
sidewalk.
No, it's on the
It's
inside.
on the other side of
On the inside?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're driving south, it's on your left.
Next to 45.
Okay, where the little bit of landscape, yeah, I mean, I pulled out.
Yeah,
there
lots of
before,
trees
but-
there, greenscaping. Just grass and trees there.
Oh, okay.
Now, would you be extending the U-turn lane as well?
Yeah. So it would be
Yeah.
extending both
Both
queue lanes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever gone to a football game and it's like Woodlands against College Park, boy, it backs up. Anybody that's a visitor from the north, they all come in through there. It's like tough to get through that intersection.
Sure.
So those are the 5 projects that are MDD eligible, and I'll turn it over to
So that's a
whoever wants to
slate.
start.
So that's a slate of about $1 million 42 or so.
Yes, so the fund request is just under, it's three quarter million, 762.
Is that including the dollars for the additional parking at the main park that you have TBD on?
Correct. So that number will go down. Yeah, they'll drop it down to 714,000 total. Now, actually, let me take that back, because that's including, no, that'll be just under $500,000. Sorry, I had the other non-eligible projects, I just had to remove those.
You had the main park one at
Sorry.
what?
So 484,600.
Okay.
I don't have anything on here.
It'll be a little lighter year than usual for MDD, but we've got a lot of high-ticket items coming up.
Right, and later years on the CIP.
Yep.
So allow MDD to kind of rebuild their bank.
Did you want to go over the other projects or just the MDD ones? I guess we'll be going
That's
over
up.
them.
Yeah, we'll go over those later. I'd say
Okay.
it's, since this is the MDD joint, we could just look at the MDD
Okay,
projects.
perfect. All right.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
Director and council inquiry?
Well, why don't you do your directors
Okay.
first?
Director's inquiry? Barry, anything? Joanne?
I already did mine.
You did yours? Ted?
I'm good.
All right. I'm good as well. All right.
I did have one question on the Tamina. Is that agreement finalized?
Which agreement?
The with the water company?
Probably a Bill question.
You talking about the
Utilities
TDC
extension, I'm
approval
guessing?
for the CCN?
Yeah, did the CCN, is that approved?
The CCN transfer, is that what you're talking about? It is not complete yet. The last obstacle that I was aware of is we had a 1/10 of an inch difference between our survey and, was it Chateau Woods that was bothering the PUC. And so I think if we reconcile that 1/10 of or that 1 inch, and so that was holding it up, and every time you do something with the PUC, they say, okay, we'll revisit this in 30 days. So.
Mr. Blah, do you have anything?
Yeah, we resubmitted on Friday, the 21st, and Danielle assures me, after talking to PUC staff.
Well, if Danielle says so.
Danielle says so. That we've addressed the last remaining comment. And it had to do with the number of connections. I think there was some confusion. But, so they have 30 days to review that submittal. So July 20th, thereabouts, we should have approval. That's what we're anticipating.
What are the total number of connections?
Sir?
What are the total number of connections?
277.
Yes.
And that varied from what our original one was?
No, that's always.
Still the same?
Yeah. Somehow, there was some confusion in Austin.
Can't imagine.
Yeah,
I was
go
shocked.
figure.
So the project will be on time?
The project is on schedule now. We have a bid opening tomorrow for the water plant and the water well. That's here at City Hall. What time is that?
3?
2 and 3. We got a
2
couple.
o'clock, I think.
One right after
And we
the
have
other.
a TAMNA update meeting here at 3. So yes, we're currently on schedule.
Yeah, you can see all the milestones in the capital improvement report.
I know that the mayor brought up some concern at the commissioners' meeting that the price was escalating. We needed to get everything approved quickly. Just want to make sure we're not falling behind.
Right. We had a 20% contingency in the original estimate of cost, construction cost. But yeah, things are different now than when we started, for sure.
Thank you.
We're anticipating at least 6 bidders. I don't know how many came to the pre-bid.
4.
So hopefully we'll get 6 tomorrow on the water well and then also water plant. And we've set it up to where if we're over budget, we have some options to delete a couple of items. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ron, can I
Council?
come back for 1 minute? Can somebody just give me a brief overview of, on David Memorial, what we're waiting for from the hospital onto 242?
$2 million.
I can, let me say that, we would probably prefer to give you that update in an executive session.
Okay.
There are, let me just say that.
I understand.
A lot of legal moving parts.
There's lots of
agree with
moving
that.
parts.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
But we will, at the next meeting, schedule an executive session to talk about that.
Okay.
From council inquiry, you already,
We did the MDD one, and it looks like you got Jim, too.
yeah, Jim?
None.
None? Councilman Brown?
Well, I was just wondering why we were talking about the ARPA funds when it's not germane to what we're talking about here. That's just one of my questions. I don't see anything objectionable about asking MDD for this 442. I think it's with the lessening of the money going out for the David Memorial Extension or the change order. I think it whittles their cash probably down to 600,000 round, something like that, close to that. So, based on.
We'll have it all lined out for the budget at the next meeting.
Well, exactly. I'm just saying.
I'm not, based on last fiscal year, yeah.
Anything else?
No, I'm sorry, I thought.
Yes, the to be determined, it's in this report here, has not been officially figured out yet, is that correct? Or have you got a good number now that it's not to be determined? Because it's in,
Is that the parking
it's
at the-
published here to the, our general public is looking at it, and
Which project is that? Sorry.
this is your, I'm sorry, this is your parking?
Yeah, so I got that number after we had to
You got
publish.
that up, okay, so, and well, then I must have missed the conversation somewhere. I lost track of where we are with that number.
Okay.
272.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was looking at here in front of me has been reduced.
And
The
that's,
272,100.
and that's
Okay,
the
thank
most
you.
recent quote, but, as Mr. Lewis, I believe, noted, we could delay this with the park and pathway study.
You could? right,
Yes.
right,
Um,
right.
It just depends on what way MDD wants to go.
Okay, thank you.
Well, this just gives us a precursor for our budget workshop as it's coming
Yeah.
up as projects that we would actually look to fund at this point.
Right.
Yes.
It's not confirming that we'll actually fund all these projects.
No.
No. Yeah, they're under consideration.
The bylaws do state that you have to approve your budget by July 31st. So what we'll do is we'll have that discussion prior, and then we'll approve the budget with the approved projects after.
Any more comments? All right, there's no executive session scheduled for the MDD portion of this meeting. So we're going to adjourn the MDD portion at 6:38.